I got back to set and I was like, all right, let's do this. I was like, excuse me 1 second. And I turned around and puked.
Oh, God.
And then I was like, okay, let's do it. And I finished the shoot. It was tough,
Jeez.
but I finished the shoot with a broken arm.
Welcome to the Red, Green, Blue podcast.
I'm here with Julian Acosta, who's an amazing director. He's got every type of agent you can imagine in every country. If it's a NATO country, he has a rep there, which is a huge accomplishment. And we're going to talk about a little bit like the importance of reps in our biz. Because I think people starting out, for some reason, that's something they never tell you in film school, is like how important reps are. But first of all, we were just talking about your family, and we were talking how our families. I was saying, like, I love doing this podcast because I get to talk to people in our field who know our field, whereas like that doesn't happen very often for me.
Yeah.
And so like, but you found a clever way, because I was saying that sometimes I find things that my siblings or somebody will say, I'm like, you don't understand, like, that's not what I do. But, you know, but no, they don't have a very deep knowledge of our field, but it's everywhere. Everyone sees it, but they don't really understand how it works.
Right.
Or like kind of how things are on the behind. But you include family members in your commercials. How do you do that?
I do. Well, for my kids, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
When they were younger, I would just take them everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, I mean, obviously when I'm shooting here in Utah, which doesn't happen a lot, but it did enough that I would take them scouting. I would have them sit in on cast, or if I was doing a project someplace else, they would sit there and watch me do it on a computer. So they've been involved in every aspect. I think that's why they don't want to be filmmakers.
Honestly, I think if people, you know, that's why I tell people, like, do an internship every summer, because maybe you'll find you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Like, see actually what the job's like.
And then my parents have, I think my parents and perhaps my sisters, I think everybody has been in something for me.
Yeah.
My dad just starred in a Jeep commercial that I directed.
Yeah.
And they used his name and old pictures, and they kind of made the spot about him. It was really cool.
Oh, that's neat.
So fun. I loved it. It was a little nerve-wracking just because it's like my parents.
How do you direct around your dad? Because your dad's the director of, like, you're growing up.
Right. Yeah, that's
directing
hard.
your dad. Like,
That's
no,
hard.
Dad, don't lean on the windowsill like that.
That part was hard. It was yeah, I mean, my dad, you
But
still
he's
think
probably
your
proud to
boss.
see you in this role, you know,
I'm sure.
doing a Jeep commercial.
I'm sure.
So that's got to be satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was, and he really enjoyed it. I think he had a good time.
No, that's great. No, that's a wonderful treasure that you're able to do that. Like, we don't need to get totally psychological here, but yeah, like sometimes, like, I can't remember, like recently one of my mother or something, like, but it only takes you like half an hour to do that.
Oh yeah.
No, that's like how long the piece is.
Yes.
It takes a week, 2 weeks to do that or more.
Yes.
Like so much work.
So much work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, I took one of my siblings to like a premiere of like a feature film I'd done. And I was like, it'll be fun. And she was like, just kind of miffed that she had to leave to the screening 10 minutes early. I was like, do you realize how much work this was for me? Like, and you were leaving 10 minutes early for the screening is like an issue.
Yes.
And I want to share it with you. So anyway, well, that's great. So how have you been able to gather? I mean, of course, your work is just amazing, and we'll put some pictures, we'll cut to some of your pictures in here. But how were you able to get so many agents, so many reps? And how do you negotiate? I mean, territories are just like, they're like, how did they find you all? Did you find them? Or
sometimes they
you?
find me. Sometimes I find them. Sometimes I just reach out and just say, hey, I'm looking for, it's usually pretty casual.
Yeah.
Send them a message. It says, hey, I like what you do. This is who I am, with a link. And it's like, I'd love to work with you.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know?
No, that's for me. Like when I got my agent, I was surprised. Like, again, I think it's hard to get an agent, but if your work's solid, it's not. Like the way I got my agent is my first agent as I finished graduate school. And I was like, well, I guess I got to actually do this. And so I just Googled agent and emailed 15 and then had 8 offers
Amazing.
You know, I mean,
Amazing. Yeah.
and again, if like your work's there, it's going to be easy, you know?
Yeah. I think that if your work's there and you're putting it out into the world,
Yeah.
this industry is a lot smaller than anybody
It's super
really
small.
thinks. So
Yeah.
people will know who you are. If you're creating stuff and you're putting it out into the world, people will know who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that, I mean, there are people here in Utah, partially, I think, because they're a little bit more cut off, that I feel are at the level where they could. And whenever I see them, I'm like, dude, just email like 10 random agents.
Yeah.
Just Google it. Your stuff is good.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them have done music videos for some of the biggest bands in the world. And they're like,
Right.
yeah, I'll have to do that someday when I'm ready. I'm like, dude, you're ready.
You're ready.
You're like mid 40s and you've been doing great work.
Right.
Like, do it.
Yes.
You know, there's
Yes.
people like in LA who don't have 1 billion views on one of their music videos who have like better representation than you. But yeah, I think it's complicated too. I mean, I do think, like you got to be sure you're with someone who's actually selling you and that their contract doesn't limit you
Right.
too much. And there's a lot of like a thing I did when I got my rep, and I don't know if you did the same, is I took the contract because I didn't really understand it. And now I'd probably even think of like lawyers and finding the right lawyers and stuff. But back then when I was like 27, I just showed the contract to a photographer, a filmmaker mentor of mine who had been in the industry for 20 years, had a lot of good reps, and asked them what they thought of it.
Mm.
So even if you can just have that,
Yeah.
I mean, how did you negotiate your contracts? And
I mean, in the beginning, it's just, it sort of builds on itself.
Yeah.
So I think in the beginning, I took whatever I could. And
Well, no, and that's
send
valid, yeah.
Send the contract. I was like, it looks great to me. I didn't
I'm
know
like,
it doesn't-
yay.
and then as you grow, as you continue to work and move on to a new company, then I often would say, well, here's my old contract. What can you do? And then they'd
so you negotiate off of the old contract.
right.
One,
so then they're like, oh yeah, well, I mean, is that what you were operating on? Okay, well, we'll offer this. And then you move to a new place and it kind of grows. So, I mean, that's basically how I've done it. I don't know any other way.
Oh, well, that's a good way.
Right.
And as you start, you improve and you get with better. Like for me, I started like kind of a good sized national agent, international agent. And then I moved to like the biggest international agent. I moved from SEPA to Getty, and that was great. And then there was a pecking order within Getty, with Getty such a big company that there's like different ways you can move within there. But yeah, so I don't know. But what things, I mean, for Getty, it gives you distribution as well, which is nice. But do you have agents that sell your back catalog and stuff?
No. So I don't have an agent for my photos, which I would love to.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hit you up about that after this.
Well, email your stuff.
But all of my reps for commercials and TV and film, they don't sell my back catalog or anything like that, but they're actively looking for work for me. I mean, that's basically how it works.
No, that's good. Yeah. And so hard just to get the job. Like if you don't have a rep, you'll spend hard. 50 to 75% of time trying to get the job.
Yes. And it's so true. And a few years ago, I remember there was this ad agency producer.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't be telling this, but I just won't say his name. He sent me an email of all of the directors that were being considered for this one job. And I think it was like 50 or 75 directors or something like that. Yeah. And my name was on the list.
Amazing.
And it was a lot of really big directors. David Gordon Green was on it. Matthew McConaughey was on it. I was on it.
Amazing. I would frame my name next to Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. And
equally as good looking, I might add too.
Thank you. And he just said, it might help to see what people are saying about you. And the feedback was decent. It wasn't bad. I think the feedback was something like a lot of great work, but not many stories.
Yeah.
And I actually took that little bit of feedback and was like, oh, I should shoot something that has some stories in it.
That's true.
I did do that after.
Well, see, that's good. Rather than getting mad and like throwing the feedback in the trash.
Yes.
And,
But out of that list of 75 directors, 3 get selected to pitch.
Oh boy.
In the commercial world. So, I mean, just imagine every opportunity just to pitch for a job is a win.
Oh, yeah, huge.
It's a win that feels okay. I mean, it's a lot better. It's a lot better if you win the job because you make the money. But it's a little bit of win if you get to pitch.
No, I think in film and art in general, you got to take incremental wins,
totally.
and own them.
I think so, and recognize them.
Mm-hmm. You have to be in the field long enough to recognize them. Like if you're new, you're just like, oh, this just happened.
Yes.
Like when I sent out my email to get an agent, I was like, well, isn't this way for everybody?
Yes.
It took me like 10 years where I was like, no, that doesn't happen.
Yes.
Actually.
And that's sometimes you don't understand how wonderful it is until it's gone.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And then so I think with every little bit of progress, I think it's good to offer some gratitude. However, you can practice that, writing it down, saying it to a friend, saying it to the person that hired you. I do it in all sorts of weird ways.
Oh, do you? Well, that's good. And share it.
I go hiking on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail just back in.
Oh, really?
And sometimes I say it out loud as I'm hiking. I mean, honestly, like like an athlete.
Like, I can't believe this happened.
Like an athlete who's looking in the mirror and saying positive affirmations. Mike Tyson is looking there and it's like, you're going to win or whatever he does, I do something similar. I hike in the mountains and say, thank you. I'm so grateful that I have this job. I'm grateful that I have this opportunity. I'm so lucky. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, yeah, no, to me, I feel grateful we get to work. I mean, working in this industry in any capacity is really such a privilege. I feel
it really is. And it's not easy.
It's not easy, but I think one of the joys is you get to work with a lot of cool people because it's hard to be in.
Yes.
Whereas like if you work at Dunder Mifflin,
yes,
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are no, you do not creed. There's no creed in the film industry because he would not be employed. He would not last very long. But so how do you feel like, I really like to see on your website how you had so much still photography work. How did that, why do you shoot stills? Are they commercial work or are they just stuff you do to experiment?
Mostly stuff to experiment.
Yeah.
I have been hired a couple times to do some photos. I did this campaign for Bose, but I was shooting the commercial already.
Yeah.
And directing it. So they hired me just to do a few photos. And we shot it in between setups, basically.
Yeah.
We'd shoot a scene and then they'd say, okay, let's hop in here and get a few photos. I think they only needed like 5 or 6 photos or something like that. And then I did this little thing for Nike. But photos, I just love them. I just do them for fun. I mean, I like to do them. I like to dink around with cameras and it gives me an idea of what I'm looking for. I mostly do portraits, and then maybe some landscapes. But I love doing photos, and it's something really satisfying creatively that I can just go do on my own.
Yeah, to me, the nice thing about still photography is the pre and post is a breeze relatively to film.
Right. When I'm doing film, if I want to shoot a passion project, it's a challenging.
No,
it's a challenging thing to do.
So
it's expensive and I'm begging, borrowing, and stealing. I mean, I think I've hit you up many times. Like, could I just this one thing can some kind of discount?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's tough.
It's so much harder. In fact, when I first started doing film, I was like, I remember going back to my still camera kit. I was like, geez, I remember when I thought $10,000 worth of gear was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's like one lens in cinema land.
Yes.
And then a lot of labor. Oh gosh. I mean, to me, like film, like, and this is something when I first started doing it, is how much you have to be like a boss. Mm-hmm. Like you should read like Covey leadership stuff. Yeah. Because you're really organizing people.
Yeah. You do. Communication is key.
Communication.
Communication. I remember in a class at BYU where I studied, one of my professors was talking about how he interviewed Aaron Rule, and it was about winning jobs. And he's like,
Aaron Rule was Kip on Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes, he was. And he's a director as well.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic.
And I think his answer was, "Oh, you just have to be cool." Like that's a big part of winning a job. It's
Yeah.
like these guys are going to hang out with you for, I don't know, however long,
Yeah.
sometimes extended periods of time, sometimes short.
Mm-hmm.
They want to hang out with somebody that they like. So, yeah, I mean, part of it, a lot of it is leadership, being a
Yeah.
boss, being able to say what you want.
Mm-hmm. In a nice way that people don't get mad.
Yeah. So certainly, I mean, I've studied communication. Oh gosh, what's that book that I just read recently about communication? Let me think about it.
It was a Crucial Conversation.
It was Crucial Conversation.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Crucial Conversation is a great book. It's so funny
good.
because it's so businessy, but they should teach it in film school.
Well, totally. But I mean, that's not
because filmmaking is Crucial Conversation.
Right. I loved that book, and I studied that in conjunction with some other people, like I'm spacing all of the books that I've read about this. A lot of therapists talking about communication and reflective listening and
So like go to the self-help section of Barnes and Noble and the business section and check out some of the communication books.
It really helps. I mean, it helps.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. Another good one.
It helps in your production and it helps in your relationships. So why not?
Why not? Well, again, and that's the interesting thing about, I mean, and you see the difference. Like, and honestly, I'd even say that's a key difference, especially since I moved between the fields. Like, I mean, I love photographers and they're just fantastic people. But, there's interest in not as good as communicators. Like if you have an impromptu speech by even maybe an A-list photographer, like some of the biggest names you can think of, they're going to struggle. They struggle in public speaking, but in filmmaking, like, no, I mean, they're basically like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
They're so good. Like the big directors and stuff.
We have to pitch. And we have to pitch at commercials, music videos, TV, film, and why you is so important in all of that. Why are you the best person to tell that story?
Yeah.
And, we have a million stories for why.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's why we are filmmakers.
Yeah.
It's because we have all of this stuff that we've experienced and we want to let it out in some way. So yeah, of course we have to. And actually, funny enough, that we're talking about this, I remember I was, when I was early in my career, I was directing at Ridley Scott and Associates.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal to me.
No, that was huge. I remember that time.
Yeah, it was cool. It was so cool. I felt very fortunate to be with Ridley and I mean, the directors that were on the roster at that time were giant A-list Hollywood directors. And I started pitching for these jobs and I was terrible at it. And it's interesting now. I just moved companies to this new company, and they're a fairly new company in the scene as well. But my old executive producer from RSA is at this new company, and my very first call with them, that was just a couple weeks ago. Tracy, her name is Tracy, called me. She says, after you did that call, everybody was like, oh my gosh, he's such a pro. And he's like, and I was just like snickering. I was just laughing in the corner because they don't remember, or they didn't see.
They don't remember how bad you were.
He's like, you were so bad. It's like, you were really bad. I mean, I remember one of like my West Coast rep at RSA was telling all the EPs, like, maybe we should put him in improv classes because like, he's really bad. And but she also said, well, kudos to you because you did the work. You figured it out. I read some books. I listened to other people's calls. I sorted it out. It wasn't. Oh my gosh, I was so uncomfortable. I was like, it was tough.
No, that's so funny. In fact, actually, that's another thing. Like, I actually took my first acting class 6 months ago.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it was awkward. People in the class, there was kind of like your standard mix of people who'd be in acting class, which I mean are fine, but it was like it's a community college acting class. Cool. I mean, super open enrollment. And I swear I learned more about directing in that class. Yeah. Like, again, I don't know why they don't force everyone in film school to take 2 or 3 sections of acting. Because knowing what actors think about and how they analyze stuff is really, really important. It
is really valuable. Yeah. I mean, I've been in pitch meetings for TV that executives are like, go take an acting class. So, I've taken many classes.
Oh, have you? You've taken acting classes?
Well, I haven't taken an acting class, but I've taken directing actors. I've taken
there you go.
screenwriting classes. I've taken all sorts of stuff after.
Yeah.
Just to stay sharp,
That's true. Well, I don't know how you came out, but clearly I came out through the cinematography side, cinematography track.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where it's important. Where conversely, if you come up through acting track, you should probably take some cinematography classes.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of covering your weakness.
Yeah, I think it's good to know.
I mean, what do you...
as many aspects as you can.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the glory of film, is that it's a multifaceted medium.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So what do you feel? You have short form agents, you've got a narrative agent. And so what do you feel when you're approaching a narrative project or a short form? How do you treat it differently?
Well, I mean, narrative projects its story is king, and short form, certainly. There are many times that I'll have to talk about.
But you can get away with eye candy in short form.
Exactly. Exactly. So much of it is because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Right.
Yeah.
So narrative, it's like, why you? Why am I the best person to tell this story? And diving deep.
Yeah.
I mean, I dive really deep into myself, consciousness, storytelling, myth, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And short form, it's like, what's in vogue, definitely I touch on why me. I mean, I pitched for something today. I was on a call with an agency, and the first part of the conversation, I went into the why me.
Why you?
I for this, it's like a tool company.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was talking to my dad about this job that I was pitching for this. And he's like, oh, yeah, we use those tools when I worked in the oil fields. It's like, oh my gosh. And that actually got me thinking about growing up and my history and working with my dad on cars and how much I hated it. And now I'm just like, oh gosh, I wish I would have paid more attention. And now I love it. Now I love that I had that experience with my dad.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to be out playing with my friends or whatever I wanted to do. But we kind of went into there, but then it was a lot like about the visual, how we're going to show the product, that sort of stuff. When we talk about narrative filmmaking, it's, we dive into the themes. What are the themes? Why me? It's like, I had this similar experience. I struggled with the same thing. I know that this character's pain, this character's pain was my pain.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Right. And we talk about references too, obviously.
Like visual references, like style stuff.
Sure. Yeah, certainly.
Like Battlestar Galactica 70s version, kind of mixed with a little bit of Xanadu.
Sure. Yeah.
Those are my two visual style guides I often use.
So we do talk about those sort of stuff, but in the narrative and the short form worlds are like two different worlds. I mean, I would hear people say that, and I didn't really get it until I started directing TV and I started directing films. Like, and they don't play well together. I didn't realize that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what was the thing?
I mean, I think that like anyone, we want your full attention. So you're directing a commercial. I want your full attention on this.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're like have a meeting for a TV show? Like, it's like any other job, right?
No, that's true.
You don't show up to whatever your job is. You don't show up to that job and then say, hey, for 2 hours, I'm going to be taking a phone call for my, side business.
For something else.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, especially they ad reps and stuff. I mean, they're putting their career on the line every job, honestly.
Right.
And they want your 100%. And they had 1 million people to pick from.
Totally.
So,
totally. Yeah. So it is like having 2 full-time jobs. And if you're willing to do that, that can work, but keep them.
Don't let the other person know. It's like you're cheating.
Yeah.
You're cheating.
Yes.
You're cheating on all your ad clients. It's like I have a mistress.
Yeah. Yes.
A mistress called this feature film.
Yes. And it is a tricky thing to sort of balance, but sometimes when I have time off or weekends or nights, or or I just wrapped a project, so I've got the next few weeks to work on a movie. I'll do that. So, yeah, it's a tricky thing, but it's fun too, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's a blast.
navigate.
No, I mean, to me, again, that's why I like this job. And honestly, I don't think I could do a normal job, or it's just because I like variety and challenge.
Totally.
Like, if you don't like variety and you don't like challenge,
Totally.
then you're just absolutely in the wrong place.
Yeah. I think there's this, sometimes, I heard this story of, one of my favorite films is Children of Men.
Yeah.
And the big scene when they go through that apartment complex and they're running, right? And they have the little baby by then, spoiler alert. And it's this big one shot. You remember that scene?
Yeah.
It's a big one shot. And Chivo shot it. And I heard, I think this is true. I heard that he prepped it. They rehearsed it. I think they rehearsed it for a day or two or something like that. And then the day of, Chivo was directing a commercial. He asked if he could direct a commercial.
Oh, really?
And he wasn't. And he wasn't there for that day. And I bet it was a challenging thing for the production, for him, or for him to even ask, but it was an opportunity that he really wanted to take for whatever reason. But that's kind of what we're up against a lot of times, and sometimes you can say, okay, well, hey, I really want to go direct this commercial. I need to do it. I'm doing this low budget indie, and I know that we shoot in 6 weeks, but I would really like to take one of those weeks to go do this, and perhaps that might work. Yeah, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think. Well, to me, that's the thing what surprised me in the industry is that major directors shoot commercials. Like Michael Bay shoots commercials. Yeah. Because I just kind of thought like, oh, but the things about feature films is they just take so long.
Take a long time.
Yeah. So when you add up the check at the end or whatever, it's just no way it's worth it. Yeah. Actually. Yeah. So you have to do commercials because they're like, they can take a short enough time and have a high enough yield to be worth it.
I've been working on this film Aberdeen with my partner Matt Sheehy. He's a musician and writer, and I've been working on it for a long time with him. Yeah. And I was lamenting to my manager, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Mike! Like, we've been working on this for so long, and now we have to do another draft, and we have a producer now, but like, oh my gosh!" And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." And he's like, "Such and such movie, like whatever it was, I can't remember." And he's like, "It took 15 years to make that movie." Yeah. I'm not sure if that makes me feel better.
No, you're like, shoot. You're like,
I don't want to, I don't want this to take 15 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does. It takes a really long time.
Yeah. Like, I mean, again, like when I first started going to Sundance or something, you see those directors up there and they're just like, oh my goodness, I want to be that guy. Yeah. But then you realize like you're watching like the experience of a lifetime for them to be like premiering their film at Sundance. Yeah. Like this is one of the highlights and they've sacrificed a lot to get on that stage. So it makes all the more meaningful.
A lot. Yeah. Jason Reitman, Juno, 6 years, I think.
6 years. Yeah.
6 years to shoot.
And he was even the son of a famous director. Yeah. So, yeah. And even then, like, this is a funny premiere I went to. It was done by a Chinese American, but it was filmed in China, and it was a Chinese themed movie. And, it was funny to me because like Sundance in particular, I'm thinking about Sundance because we're just going through some stuff on it, but it's so low key. Like the whole point of Sundance is to be like chill, low key. Yeah. And like one of the Chinese female lead in this movie showed up in like a dress fit for the Academy Awards. And then everyone else is in like their Canadian Goose parka, just sitting there. And we're supposed to act like this is just like normal. Yeah. But like, I like how she's like, no, this is huge. I'm going to wear the fanciest dress I had. Yeah. And then, but she looked like a fish out of water. Yeah. And then my girlfriend was actually in the bathroom after the presentation. She said, yeah, she changed out the dress in the public bathroom. But anyway, it's kind of funny though, because it is such a big moment, but to the outside beholder, you wouldn't know it. In fact, yeah. So, well, it's good you work on them and it's good you have it. I should say Julian lives like really close to me.
I do.
Which is cool. He biked here. If you notice him being a little sweaty, he biked here.
I rode my bike. I didn't think about that part.
So it's not too hot, but it's like 65, and with the cardio, that would get it.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because he's got a kickstand and his bike's out in front. I just love
e-bike. This is my e-bike. This is my cruising around town.
Bike.
I like to ride bikes. I like to ride mountain bikes. I like to ride road bikes. But then I have this little e-bike that I cruise around.
Well, it's good here because we've got these hills.
Yes.
So you got uphill, you can just kind of e-bike it.
The hills are really intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So intense.
Like I actually cowardly. When I bike, I put my bike on a bike rack. I drive out of the foothills. I take my bike off the bike rack and I bike because biking back up after is not going to happen.
It's so intense. On a road bike, I will ride down just like the canyon, up the canyon.
Yeah.
And it's a good ride. I ride up to like South Fork, that canyon.
Mm.
And then when I'm coming home, though, that riding up foothill is so painful.
Oh, so painful.
Oh,
and I just think of everyone driving by me, look at me dying.
Yes, it's so intense. It's good for you.
And it's like so everyone in your neighborhood. Yes. Oh, I saw Mark. He was dying going up the hill.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's a good place. I have a cheap little, I realized all my bikes were so stealable that I needed a cheap bike and that I could just not lock up and stuff. So I bought like this coaster bike. And I think the only thing I do is to bike to my brother who lives practically across the street from me.
Yes.
It's like 200 yards, but I'm like, I'm not going to walk that.
Yeah.
I'll just get on that and ditch it in his front yard.
Yes.
So no, this was a nice place to live. I joked. I call it the Hollywood Hills of Utah.
Yeah.
Because you just kind of like go down the hill and you're at Costco, you're at a mall, if you ever get mega wealthy, live in Hollywood Hills. Don't live in Beverly Hills. Hollywood Hills is so cool.
I love this neighborhood. It's so quiet.
It's so quiet.
There's lots of animals in this.
Yeah, you see deer all the time, quail, wild turkeys.
Did you see there was a moose like 2 years ago in our neighborhood?
Oh, amazing.
It walked through my backyard. It was insane. And then we also saw me and my partner, we were up really late. It was like 2 a.m. or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a predator that was trying to eat a baby deer in my backyard.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and its mom was attacking the predator. And we couldn't tell what it was. It jumped up into a tree. I think maybe it was a bobcat, but I kind of think that it might have been a wolverine.
Oh, really?
Well, there's wolverine. They're wolverine around here, and they're very, very rare. I know that like last year somebody caught one, but when I first saw it, it was pitch black and I could only see its silhouette. It looked like a little bear. The face of it looked like a little bear. And I was like, what is that? And then when I jumped down, I was like, maybe it was a bobcat, but I don't know. If you've ever seen a wolverine.
I've seen a stuffed one. The local university here is called the Wolverines.
Yes.
And so there must be local ones.
Yes.
That they wouldn't be called it.
Yeah.
They're just very shy animals.
The face looks like a little bear.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was a bobcat. Maybe it was a wolverine.
Well,
I like to say it was
let's say it's a wolverine.
I'm a little scared.
No, because also, there's a major comic book hero called the Wolverine. Yeah. So come on. Yeah. It's way cooler to see a Wolverine. So it's great to live and like close to everything. We're like 15 minutes from the Sundance ski resort, 15 minutes from a lake, 15 minutes from a golf course. Like just pretty fantastic.
The view is beautiful.
View's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Gorgeous everywhere around.
You can hike up in Little Rock Canyon.
Yeah. Nice. Which is like 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Yes.
So now that we've just bragged on where we lived so much, whatever. So no, it's fine. No, that's the fruits of filmmaking. No, honestly, it's well-timed buying. I don't know if I could afford to live here anymore, but its prices have gone up a lot. So we're trying to get some stories. It's like, so what is the most dramatic, hair-raising moment you've had on set?
Oh my gosh, I've had many.
What's the first that comes to mind?
I've had many. I've had great success where we just timed this one thing in this very specific moment, or this train passes by in the shot in the very far background that we were trying to get, or I've had conflict where actors have exploded. I mean, actors are. It's tough to be an actor because you're
It is.
You're being so vulnerable, right?
No.
You're opening your chest and exposing your heart and telling truth. I mean, I hate that idea that people say you lie for a living. I think that it's the opposite. I mean, they're being the most honest and vulnerable they can be. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're living in that scene, but they're opening themselves up to a similar experience that they've had in their life.
Yeah.
And they're being as honest as they can about that and present and living in the moment. But I remember once I had this, I was shooting this scene and it was this guy crying.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting what I wanted with the camera. And I was like, let's do it again. And he sort of exploded and cussed me out.
I do not want to do this again.
Yes. How many times are we going to do this thing? And I just gave him the time.
To recompose himself and just.
I let him, I didn't respond to him. Mm-hmm. I just let him have his moment where he lashed out at me and I said, all right, let's do it one more time.
That's good.
And he's like, okay. So we did it. And then later on, he's like, hey, sorry I had that moment. And I was like, well, of course he would. Like he's crying. He's having this very dramatic moment where he's crying. Who knows what he's tapped into?
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't like going there. Yeah.
Right. And it most likely wasn't about me at all. I mean, it was about whatever he was experiencing.
Yeah.
So let him have that moment and get on. I mean, I also had a really, I remember pretty early in my career, I was doing this. I did this big campaign of commercials for KFC in Australia, and it was like the biggest thing I had directed, I think, up until that point, or one of the biggest things, or definitely the longest. Mm-hmm. It was like a 10-day shoot. And I hated hearing stories from crew saying, oh, that director, he was such a jerk. He didn't know anybody's name. He did, you've heard the stories.
Yeah.
He comes in here on his high horse. Mm. So I used to arm wrestle the crew members to build camaraderie.
Well, that's a good idea.
So it was like, and I was a champion. Like nobody could beat me. Nobody could beat me, and I was undefeated.
Those guys, even the boom op guy.
And I was like beating all these guys, and they're like, wait for this one grip. He's going to be here in 2 days. And he comes and he's just like this massive. He's doing like one-armed headstand push-ups.
Oh gosh!
And so we start arm wrestling, and it was like pushing on a brick wall. I wasn't making any progress, and he's starting to beat me, and he's my arm's going down. I was like, I'm not going out without a fight, and I went as hard as I could, and I broke my arm.
You broke your arm?
And I broke it right. Was it the humerus?
Whoa!
And it was really intense.
Man,
it was. Remember as a kid when you would take the water hose and you shake it back and forth and you see that sort of.
Yeah.
Well, when I pulled my arm away from him, that's what it was like. It was like this sort of.
I can't believe how strong both you were. You broke your own arm.
It was insane. And funny enough,
did it go on the company's insurance?
Well,
that's a weird set accident.
The reason it was right in the middle of our shoot day.
Oh gosh,
I think it was on day 3 or 4 of 10 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we were building scaffolding for the shot, and I was like, "Oh, we have some time, let's goof around."
Yeah.
And the first AD was, I remember she was training her second, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go upstairs for a meeting. Don't let anything weird happen. I'll be right back." Mm-hmm. And so he was like nervous, and then I broke my arm, and then I remember standing next to him. I was like, "Can you call an ambulance? Like hurry!" And I fainted. Mm-hmm. I sat down. It's kind of amazing how the body takes over. I sat down, and just basically all the blood rushes to your broken, the place.
It did this protrude.
No, it didn't. It didn't. But I remember I sat down and I was like, "You guys, I think I'm gonna faint." And they're like, "You're okay." And then I was like, "I know I'm okay," but I just started to black out,
Oh, man.
And I remember somebody put a soda in my mouth, like a straw, like drink. And I was like, I was trying to tell my brain, just take a sip. And I took a sip finally, and I came back. I mean, I probably blacked out for 10 seconds, or 5 seconds or something.
Were you able to get help? How long did it take you to figure when you broke your arm?
Well, I mean, immediately I knew I broke my arm, and then the ambulance came, and I was loading up, and I saw somebody trying to sneak on the crew a picture, and I was like, by then I'd had some morphine, so I was like, you guys, come on. Whoever wants to take a photo, take a photo. And then all of the crew was like taking photos with their phone. And yeah, I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Got a cast. I remember they cut off my shirt, so it was like this.
Like my favorite shirt.
And basically I had like one boob out,
Yeah.
And I was like, take me back to set. I've got to finish this thing. So I went back to set and
with one boob out?
Yeah, with one boob out.
You're the toughest director ever. That is toughest director. Like, morphine, broken arm,
and all I
partially clothed.
Basically, all I had for like 5 hours was morphine. I didn't eat or anything.
Man.
And I got back to set, and I was like, "All right, let's do this." I was like, "Excuse me, 1 second." And I turned around and puked.
Oh God!
And then I was like, "Okay, let's do it." And I finished the shoot. It was tough,
Jeez.
But I finished the shoot with a broken arm.
That is a great story.
It was fun. Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, story. That I don't think anybody is going to be able to beat that story. I mean, that is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah, it's filmmaking comes with all of its challenges. Some of them are fun and goofy like that, and
well, it's not fun when you're in it. I mean, it's fun in retrospect. We can all look back and laugh.
Oh yeah, I mean, just on my last shoot, it was a mini fiasco, but we're shooting in the middle of the night in, where were we? We were in the Dominican Republic shooting this TV show with horses, and it was a period piece.
Okay.
And the horse took off I don't know if it got spooked or what happened, but our lead actress jumped off of this horse as it was running.
Yeah.
And she was okay. But she was so smart to do it. But just stuff like that happens. And then you're just like, okay, well, everybody's alive. Nobody's too hurt. Let's just do it again. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's go. We've got to get the shot. Clock's ticking.
Oh, gosh.
Money's burning.
No.
Let's do it.
I heard this was a great interview with Christopher Nolan. Apparently he did industrial videos before he hit it big. And he said, it seems odd that shooting industrial video would be parallel to what I do now, but it's really kind of the same thing. Like you're trying to get what you envisioned in the schedule and the budget you have.
Yeah.
And so it's the same limitations in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And again, and all the Coen brothers, they said, one of their many Academy Award speeches was, just so you know, we started doing this 20 years ago, feels exactly the same as when we first went out.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like the problem solving and making those things work. Because sometimes you want to have a preset idea of what you're doing. You want to have a shot list. You want to have a storyboard, right. But then working with what's in front of you to, either be better or worse than you expected, but it's rarely how you want it.
It's true. And you have to think on your feet, and sometimes stuff doesn't happen the way you want it. Yeah. Or I remember shooting this commercial not that long ago, and we're shooting, I think it was for Verbo.
Yeah.
That company. It's like Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were around first even. But it was at a beach house, and there was a scene where there's this mom and she's doing work on her computer on the porch, and she goes out and joins her family. And there was the problem with this location was there was a big sand hill, so you couldn't see the beach.
Yeah.
And in our tech scout and our shot list and our storyboards, it was like, let's just cheat it so it looks like it is the beach. It's on the edge. And we got there and it just wasn't working.
Yeah.
And the sun is rapidly setting. And we just let's just shoot it and show the hill. And let's get this actor to come down and run up the hill. And so at least we have some sort of cue, the family's on the other side of the hill at the beach, and then we could have her go over.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, it sounds so small and simple, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you have a crew of 50 or 100 people,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly anything, any just decision you make that's a change, it's a slow moving decision. So
Mm-hmm.
it can be scary to do that. And then, you know, we did it and it worked out just fine. I mean, there've been all sorts of stuff like that that's happened. Somebody doesn't show up, car isn't working anymore, or whatever it is.
Especially working with vintage cars.
Oh,
it's often how common that is a problem.
In my short film, I made a short film called What Bitch a few years ago. It was on HBO for anybody that saw it. Was there now? I don't know where it is now, but we had this old car and it was on a process trailer for most of it. But I realized while we were shooting, oh my gosh, we need a shot. We need the car to move, and it doesn't run.
Yeah.
So here's another roping my family in. So we did the scene called action, and me and my dad pushed the car to make it look like it was rolling. She, you know, the woman says, "All right," it's a very last shot, I think. She says something to her mom, and she takes off in the car, and me and my dad were pushing the car.
Yeah.
And on that shoot for my short film, my dad and my mom did the production design.
Yeah.
You know, they're not filmmakers, but I was like, Mom, like, I need help. Like, can you guys come? Oh gosh, that reminds me. I remember I'd had a hernia surgery right before I shot that short film.
Yeah.
And right before I talked to my doctor. I was like, hey, I'm shooting something. Am I going to be okay? And he's like, oh yeah, no problem. I get out of surgery, and my partner, Katie, she said, I don't know if you can go and do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And she like pulls the doctor aside and is like, hey, he's like shooting something. He's like, yeah, he can't lift anything more than 10 pounds.
Mm.
And, you know, he can fly, but he's like got to be sitting down most of the time. And so I called my parents. My parents drove to California and helped me with my film. It was pretty cool.
Well, that's nice. And support. And nothing's better than having your mom around when you're sick.
I know.
For some reason, it doesn't matter even if you're grown up. Weirdly, that never goes away.
True. Yeah. Save me.
Save me,
Mom. Yeah. Somebody save me.
Yeah. Yeah. So one thing, we've talked about a number of your work, which is wide ranging and really just I mean, you go Julian J Acosta. Go check out his website. It is really gorgeous stuff.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, you go to the website and like, this is impressive work. But one of all your body of work, what are you most proud of?
Oh gosh. You know, so I made this anthology film. It's a feature with a bunch of filmmakers.
Yeah.
Roman Coppola, it was his idea. Mm-hmm. And Roman invited me to be part of it. And
amazing. What an honor.
It was like Roman and Gia Coppola and oh gosh, there was a bunch of my buddy Boma and Ken Jeong did one. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was a fun project. I wrote and directed because it's an anthology film. I wrote and directed my section. Mm-hmm. I really liked it. It's so simple.
So did you have one story that you had to stick with the outline? You have some variation this part of it, or is it like a bunch of shorts connected conceptually?
They weren't very connected conceptually.
Okay.
It was they weren't very connected. It was like partially a game where we each had I think we had a location and a situation, mm-hmm. and we had to write our short based on that.
Yeah.
So I wrote my short and then we didn't know what the other people were doing. Mm-hmm. So I think that I'm trying to remember, there was an email that went around to all the directors. They were like, what condition was Jane in when you at the end of your film?
Yeah.
I think that was it. Maybe that's all.
And it's because they need to pick up from that point.
Right.
Okay.
So we didn't know. It was a fun experiment and makes for a very fun and odd artistic movie.
No, I bet. Especially if they're probably, you're putting your stamp on it. So
Right.
you're switching styles.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. But I wrote mine about this this Latina who runs away from her quinceañera, and she had lost her mother and was living with her grandmother, and didn't feel like she belonged.
Yeah.
And it was personal. I've never been a 15-year-old Latina, but there was a time that I lived with my grandmother, and I was in my 20s, and I grew up Mormon, so I went on a Mormon mission, and when I came home from my mission, my family was living with my grandmother in this 2-bedroom house in the hood in Bakersfield, California, and I shared a bedroom with my 2 sisters, and it was a tough time. I think somebody cried every day.
Oh gosh.
I mean, we were living in such close quarters.
You'd see it. Yeah.
Really, really hard. And I wasn't sure where I fit in or where I belonged. And, I was in this neighborhood that, we grew up in kind of a poor neighborhood, but then we got out for a lot of my teenage life. And then returning to that, I suddenly felt like, oh my gosh, I thought we had left here and we weren't ever coming back. I also, I don't speak Spanish. So it was like, this film was like a deeply personal.
No, that's
film.
wonderful. You were able to get that experience on film.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm really proud of it. I don't think it's, visually speaking, it's, we shot on 16. I shot it very simply, shot reverse shot and a wide. I mean, I think that there's one Steadicam shot and everything else is handheld, static. And it's just, 2 people having a conversation. But, I really put a lot of myself into it. So I like that project, I guess.
No, it's true. And that's why I find it's like, to me, like I have like one photograph in particular that basically redid my whole Vita. It's in a bunch of permanent collections and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
But I don't really care about it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I mean, I like it. I like that redid my Vita. I got a lot of good job offers academic wise, but there's photographs that I really care about that, I mean, that are, but like, they're part of bodies of work and stuff, but they haven't gotten to a lot of solo shows.
Yeah.
To me, it's like what the artist likes and what people respond to are 2 separate things. But to be able to put so much of yourself in such a prestigious, well-seen, surrounded work, that's fantastic combo.
Yeah.
That's just really excellent. And honestly, isn't it amazing that like this medium that we're in, that is like the medium.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like king of mediums. That, again, that's moving around in mediums. Like it always amazes me that like a minor film can be bigger than the biggest museum show. So it's a gorgeous place. But no, well, that sounds like that's really great. Is there anywhere we can see that nowadays?
I think it's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon Prime.
If you're in Amazon,
what's
Prime
the title of it?
7 Faces of Jane.
7 Faces of Jane.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check that out tonight.
Yeah, I think I would say that, and then some of the stuff I feel like I'm most proud of. I haven't even shot yet. I'm developing that movie Aberdeen. I'm also developing this TV show that it looks like we're shooting this summer.
Oh, awesome!
Called Alaska.
Great.
My partner in that is Justin Chatwin. He was an actor. He was in the show Shameless. It's been really fun to develop it with him. It was his script.
Yeah.
But I think when we met a few years ago, the way I experienced it was like we looked at each other and was like, we've traveled down a similar path.
Yeah.
And I think that there was that sort of energy. So, he called me with the script and he's like, I think that you would be great to direct this. Let's work on it together. So, we've been developing that with Rough House Pictures. It's Danny McBride and David Gordon Green, that group of filmmakers. So, fingers crossed, everything goes well. We finish casting and we shoot it this summer. You never know. But, those two projects I think that I'm really proud of, even though the only people that have really seen them have been, me and my creative partners and my romantic partner who watches and reads all of my work,
No, that's the thing. I always feel like people married to filmmakers deserve an award. Like they should have a married to filmmaker award after the Academy Awards.
Yes.
Because your husband / your wife has an insane job.
Totally.
An insane job, and they're probably a little insane themselves. Yeah. And you have to deal with it.
Yes. I mean,
you have to create some sort of stability.
I think that my partner has helped me when I've lost my mind, about 20 times.
Yeah.
Talk me off the ledge or whatever, or, comfort me or help me get grounded. And my kids too, I think my kids, they're champions. Like those two are so cool. And I just had a conversation with my oldest son the other day, and he was like telling me, he's like, you really taught me media literacy. Like I'm an active viewer. And he's like, I watch something and I try to sort it out.
Yeah.
What is this really about? What is this saying? Is this helpful? Is this story for me? Sort of those kinds of questions, and it warmed my heart because, yeah, definitely. We'd go to the movies and I'd say, okay, tell me about it. What was that movie about? What did that mean?
Yeah.
What do you think the themes were? I think that my family in that way has been really helpful.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, I think, In fact, this is a funny story. Well, anyway, I had a friend who had another artist friend. He had like a normal government job. He said, like, they call me up during work and we talk for an hour, and I don't mind talking to them. But like, I'm like, wow, there's an hour. Is that way artists all are? This is visual art. And I'm like, why do you think that is? I'm like, is it like that draws that kind of people, or is it the field? I'm like, it's probably a little bit of both. Because again, it's so competitive. Yeah. And, in film, of course, is on next level competitive. Yeah. So, well, that's great. Those are some exciting projects you have coming up. Sounds like we'll have to talk to you again.
Yeah.
In a couple of years when you come out of the other end of those.
Yes. Yeah. A different person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully a smarter, wiser, a more conscious individual, I hope.
And one thing like that, like I ran to both me and another friend. We worked on 2 big projects, and then we met up again like 3 years later. I was like, I can't believe we both went through that. And I feel like we're different people. We were little babes when we met previously. Yeah. And she was like, you know what? You're right. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
So doing a TV series and a feature film will do that for sure. You will grow.
Yes.
But that's the nice thing.
Yeah.
Like, you have bigger problems, but you have bigger solutions, and you'll rise to the occasion.
Totally. I mean, it's what, I mean, for me, story is so key. I mean, it's in our nature. Story is our nature. I think it is one of the basis of why we are who we are as a species, as individuals. I think I would challenge anybody to think about any event or aspect of their life and see if there is not a story attached to it.
Yeah.
So for me, I think, as we dive deeper into the story, of course, you can't help but grow or but change.
Yeah.
Because you're tapping into your nature. It's a very primal experience. I don't know. I can get really philosophical about this sort of stuff.
You're like, well, again, yeah. Well, I mean, that's when you're making it. I think like, what is it? This is a funny conversation again. Oh, I shouldn't beat on my family, but this is funny. So we watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the sequel. I can't remember what they call it. Not Bogus Journey, but the most recent one where they're older.
Right. Yes.
And I was like, well, I feel Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the first one, is actually a parody of art, because even the basic premise of it is you wrote a song that brought about world peace is impossible. Yeah. And so it's kind of like one big dig at 70s rock.
Yes.
Like John Lennon was doing bed peace, but he was a rock star. That doesn't connect. It's like it takes presidents and armies to create peace. Right. It's not a guy in Quebec in his bed with his girlfriend. So, but anyway, so like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is one big joke on that. I was telling that theory. And then the new one is kind of about, life and art and your children and, again, the futility of art to do it and collaboration, but it's still meaningful and has place. I was telling this to my Indian engineer brother-in-law. He's like, no, it's just a funny movie. I'm like, no, it's got other stuff in it. This is what artists do. He's like, no, just a mindless, funny movie. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is just a mindless, funny movie. You're being dumb. And he's like, I'm like, okay.
Well, what I like to think about that is because I can understand that argument. Yeah. And I would say you're both right. I mean,
we're both right.
It's a paradox. I mean, for me as an artist, how much can I lean into paradox?
Yeah.
I think actually the more we lean into paradox, the more peace we have in our life.
Yeah.
It's true. It is true. It is a dumb, funny movie.
It is a dumb, funny movie. And it's fantastic at that level.
And it is the more you dive into it, the deeper you dive into it, the more you'll find and see little bits of yourself. Yeah. Commentary on society, whatever it is. But I think that we love binary thinking as humans.
There.
We love it so much, right or wrong, good or bad, black or white, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And we do it because it gives us a sense of control.
That's true. Yeah.
So yeah, of course. Yes, it is my way. It is this way I see it, because I've built my entire identity on, sort of aspects of how my perception of the world, right? Aspects of how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. For me, it's like, if you can lean into the paradox, say, it's all of it. And
it is all of it. And that's the joy of it. That's the fun about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in particular.
Yes.
But and that's the joy of the medium. I do think working in the medium, I mean, I find myself going through phases like this, like you have to kind of still like not just see the boom shot and whatever, like the work that went into it,
right.
Like just to kind of step back and be like, I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah.
And to me, a privilege is just being able to buy a ticket and see somebody else's work.
Yeah.
Because when you watch it, it's always something like that was involved in your life.
Right.
But just watching somebody else you weren't involved in, that's great.
Yeah. And I think when you do just watch it, and perhaps you don't always have to be
you don't have to be a critic or whatever.
You don't always, and I believe no matter how you do it, it's still seeping in.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And it's still storing in our bodies. And we're getting the messages, whether we like it or not, or whether we want to or not. It's all in there.
Yeah.
Well, what a powerful medium. I mean, and I think that we can recall those things too. Mm-hmm. Even if we weren't an active viewer and we watched whatever movie it is as somebody to just sit there and have a good time.
Yeah.
Perhaps when we need it, we might be able to pull it out.
Independence Day.
Yes, Independence Day.
Totally. I swear, like if you're like a filmmaker, you're like, I don't like Independence Day. I feel like you've lost something because Independence Day is just cool.
Yeah.
So you can like the artsy stuff. You can also like Independence Day.
You can like it all. Yeah. Stories don't just serve one purpose.
Yeah.
For us to navigate a cruel and harsh world. So we need to have a story. I mean, yes, that's part of it. Also, stories are just fun too.
Yeah.
I mean, why not have just a fun story?
Will Smith punching an alien. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, on the
salt flats.
On the salt flats. Go Utah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I think we've just explored a lot. It's really been fun talking to you, Julian. Again, like and subscribe. Oh, I forgot to say that at the beginning. Like and subscribe.
Smash that button.
Smash that button. I'm going to start saying that because we got 30,000 views, but we want more subscribers.
Yeah. But don't you have to point to it? It was like, yeah.
I'll just point everywhere and hopefully that ends up one of the buttons. But like and subscribe. Really like talking to Julian J Acosta. Fantastic work. We're going to put some pictures in this because I don't think you like with everything. You got to see the work to get it. But check out that Jane movie. What was that?
Yeah. 7 Faces of Jane.
7 Faces of Jane. That sounds fascinating.
Might as well. What else are you doing?
Exactly. I mean, to me, that's the thing about streaming is that since infinite, you sometimes get paralyzed and you just got to go nowhere to look.
Yeah.
But it gets so much noise. So that's why we listen to this podcast. Anyway, like and subscribe. Julian Acosta. Check out his work.
Thank you.
Julian J Acosta.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right.